So you brought it back. Writers, and I'm giving you an example because I'm curious about how you would break your memoir up in this way. If you were to write in chronological order and chapter them, some of those ones you'd cross off would be like, say, should I write a chapter on infancy? Probably not. That sounds very interesting. Toddler? Probably not. But then you get to like, okay, childhood. Oh, that's a good place to start. So like you'd write, okay, childhood. And then you'd go from there. And maybe have sub-chapters.
You
get
know what?
To maybe high school, and then you label it college, and et cetera, et cetera.
You know what I like about your perception of how that would go is that it reflects your life perfectly. Like even the scenario before we were talking about, like, and I said, well, that means that there's two scenarios because you have the way that you grew up coming from California, and then you have someone who never left Washington. So you got two stories that are completely different, but the path kind of like like, you know, you could say Synattra was that, you know, like you know what I'm saying?
Cross paths, that intersection, yeah.
It shows you that there's two ways to do everything that are the main ways. Look at Apple, look at Android, or Microsoft even. You know, like, there's always two ways to do something, and they're both opposite.
One way to skin a cat.
One's more simplistic, straightforward, for those kind of people who are more simplistic and straightforward, not necessarily low in any kind of way, where you could be like, oh, they're at a disadvantage. And then you got people who are more technical minded, who don't necessarily walk the straight path because they rather do this and this and this and that to get the same results done. And some people are a hybrid of both because nobody is exempt or bound to any one idea. You know what I'm saying? So you could literally be a mix and bag of what you choose to be. I'm more of an Apple person. I'm more of a Twitter person. I'm more of an Xbox person.
But you got your reasons.
You do. And they all make sense to you because it's your life.
Some people, that's what's interesting when you see, like, people stare at me a lot because I'm so different than most people around here. But, like, I would blend in more of, like, on the west side even, you know, like, it's just a matter of, like you said, at odds, right? Like you're so culturally different, you're just so different in some way that there's this weird animosity that people have evoked just out of the unknown. It's like we're probably the stem of racism and a lot of other things too.
Well, check this out. When I first met you, there wasn't a lot of guys who were doing what you did that came from where you came from and then coming up to Washington.
Yeah, that saved my life, honestly.
It was, check this out. It was just so different because look at this. I happen to think that you were ahead of your time in a sense for the Tri-Cities because now what you were back then is common.
Notice that too.
Right? But here's the kicker. Even now what you are now, what you came to be, is now common. Because that
entrepreneur?
Well, no, I mean like this everything that's about you, like the California vibe, the entrepreneurial spirit that goes along with it. Like you fall into a group where there could be guys that you meet that you've meshed with because you guys got a lot of similarities in that sense. And speaking of California, I have this set up right there.
Kinfolk.
I don't know if you saw the wave.
I did, yeah. I was looking at it earlier. I was thinking someone put cement shoes on someone. But I was just talking to my nephew that flew up, and he was talking about how he's surfing down there, and I was getting envious. I was thinking about it, and he's trying to convince me to move back home. And he's making some fucking good arguments for it.
It's beautiful, man. I need to go to California for my first time ever. But I want to tie this thought up real quick.
With the beach here?
With
is this a particular beach?
Or I'm not too sure. But
a lot of time painters, you know,
they'll take a picture.
Go to a spot or whatever.
A lot of times they'll take a picture and then they'll try to paint it with some, because they'll do the technology for lifting the picture off of it and doing like.
Yeah, that's why they have the multiple stands, right? They'll put portraits up at each so that they can paint straight forward.
Yeah.
And they, no matter where, they can just move their eyes and have to move their head, and they just look and it shows them the picture so they can see.
When we do a podcast, we definitely have to have a fucking painter on because I want to know what everything is. Like when they're on that level, like my homie David V, he painted that behind your head actually. He's literally...
Oh, that's a local guy.
Yeah, he is literally, like, the best artist that I've ever seen. It's right up my alley. I've always been a fan of, like, Sal Andrews and, like, that style of, you know, like, if you know Circus Survive, have you ever seen their album covers? Yeah, it's more of, like,
it's
that.
It's like one of those ones where it makes you want to be on an elevator.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And also the colors kind of speak to you on a spiritual level. Too, and always like the imagery that you do see poking out of it always reflects something that has meaning to it.
Yeah, it's like when you're saying the colors of emotions, it reminds me of the way, Young Lean says that's why he makes his albums all colors, because he says that's how he writes songs, is in he sees songs in colors and he translates colors to emotions.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing.
Like the same thing that's happening in this.
See, and that's why let's talk about Kanye West for a second. His album covers have always been the craziest, most vibrant things. Like, and when he didn't do that, he did the opposite to throw you off. You know, like when he did big, loud, and explosive, then he came back and did stripped down, compact, and minimalist. He always does that to you because he's really, and he's also trying to fuck with your sensory too. The way if you're paying attention to him, he's stretching you one way, then he's stretching you another way. A lot of people have rapport with him because he has free rent in a lot of people's heads.
You know what I think that is?
Why is that?
I'm just. This is my guess. I don't know if do you have. Is he already explained it?
He doesn't explain anything, so like it's always open to interpret. That's why him and Jay-Z are really dope.
What do you think it is first before I say it?
As far as what is
like what? Why is Kanye making the moves that Kanye is making, in the sense that you're exactly what you're explaining? Why is he?
On a creative level?
Yeah.
Okay, I can.
What's the motive?
I have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
I think that he.
I know, that's why because you got insight that I don't even have into that world.
Well, check this out. Like he finds the nectar of any idea, right? On that kind of level, he collects it, and then what he does.
You mean like that's the way he thinks he distills thoughts, huh?
He steals ideas all the time. Actually, that's his whole thing. He's a thief. But
I said distill.
No. Yes, but he does steal
also
the ideas.
Steals. Wow.
He distills on a creative level, but he does still on a creative level.
How does he?
Well, check this out.
How does he get in the loop?
He sees things that he likes, and then he makes note of it. And then what he does is he figures out how to change it enough for it to be his idea.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Right?
Yes.
I'm just a wall.
This is hard as fuck, dude. This is real shit.
This is a wall, and I'm just giving you the rebound. And what I was thinking when you said that is just like, maybe it's because say it again. I lost
that
it.
He distills ideas, and then he does still ideas.
Oh, he steals them.
Yeah, he distills and he does still.
So my question, thank you. You always bring it back. I'm not even tripping anymore. I'm just like, I won't get it. So my question would be, is the fact that, because we discussed this before, a difference between real value and money, or fiat currency rather.
Right.
Money and fiat currency, like real value versus fake currency that we have now. Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in the 1970s. So where it was $1 was backed by 1 ounce of gold in a physical vault, in a physical place, in a physical bank that you could go claim for yourself at any time.
A lot of people say that it's empty now.
That's what you need the bank for. It's to protect my money. But they've corrupted the system entirely. It's rotted.
Oh yeah,
Banks can loan up 90% of what they actually have in those vaults. Our currency is no longer backed, so we're at like a very inflation. That's what inflation is, right?
Yeah, because they said there's some sort of debt to every note. I forgot what it is, but it's like $1 and.
Right. So, but speaking of real value, so I'm going to speak of real value. So bring it back to Kanye with real value. Now that we know, that's real value, and. You're saying he's kind of copying these things. I like that. I'm going to take note. And he's like, boom, and he makes it work, right?
Yeah.
So my question I would pose to you is, that action that he's doing, is that real value? Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, you have to admit, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, you shouldn't cop things. Like, they should get some credit. Yeah. They should get some credit. But should Kanye not get some credit for being the alchemist of taking the look that would have faded away and died with the individual and expose it to a whole culture? Isn't that worth something?
I think that's worth licensing fees. I mean, I think it's the smallest part of the whole process, because I think it's really backwards where someone who can refry ideas like they're their own and serve it to people to get the top gain.
Is there, I guess the question would be, is there an ethical attempt to conceal? Is that what you're saying when you say?
I don't think he tries to hide it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't try. He doesn't try to hide it because he's Kanye. Because so he's creates such an obnoxious kind of like persona that whatever he does, you forgive him, and you also forgive him for it. Like if you're in the community, like for example, when he does something that's on some goofy level, I'm just gonna call it goofball shit, right? Everybody seems to forgive him because they remember who he was when he came through the door. Honestly, him coming through the door is the only thing that saves him.
Well, he done prove he had skill already.
Well, check this out.
He's well established.
He's also very self-aware. He knows that there's old Kanye and there's new Kanye, in the sense that everybody loves old Kanye. They always ask about old Kanye because when he came through, he wrote songs about working retail jobs, being a college dropout. Like he had such a unique perspective.
I see. So you're saying I get it now. So now that I know that, now I see it differently, because now it looks more like he's not putting real value on the table. It's more he's sabotaging like something.
You know what I think the change was? Gold Digger. Gold Digger changed everything.
I'm sorry. I mean, well, save that Gold Digger.
Yeah.
But
that was when it all changed.
At that changing point right there, though.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the same thing. So that changing point, right? That you're talking the fall. Let's say the decline. Right.
In old Kanye, it's the fall of old Kanye.
It's the death of old.
Yes.
The death of old Kanye.
Yes, the death of old Kanye is Gold Digger.
Okay, so at that point of Gold Digger.
Yes.
Right?
Digger.
In other words,
Digger. Like a graveyard.
Yeah.
Dude, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Anyways, continue. I'm stoked on this idea. This is crazy. This is a good podcast shit.
Yeah, we should. Well, it's good practice.
I'm recording it.
Oh,
we already did really great shit, but no.
And there goes a thought. Marijuana.
Dude, okay. You were saying something really interesting, because the death of old Kanye is definitely Gold Digger, right? God, that's brilliant. But this is what happened after that.
That's what. Okay, thank you. So the shame, I think, is because it was shame attached to it, because the people don't like it more so. Not that he's caught. He's so they're thinking, no, you're not bringing real value. It's like you shouldn't have to cop people's things in the first place, because it's a shame, because you used to be so creative. What changed? Why did you change?
Exactly.
He changed on us.
He changed for different reasons. I think when he wanted to have a family, he changed. He always changes for big milestone reasons, right? But this is what I noticed about Kanye. He's always had like that funny like sensibility in his rap to always kind of make you crack like a laugh. Like, that's pretty funny, because Kanye's funny. He's like Eddie Murphy funny, kind of, in a sense, right? So this is the thing that's different.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm ignorant.
Right.
I'm out of that world. I don't
but
know.
like if you know enough about Kanye, you know the type of person he is. Like, and that's why
he's just like, this is well known.
Yeah, because he's got a huge like cult following. Like even the people who hate him are still in his cult following.
And he's part of the bigger hierarchy of the Kardashians as well. Like they combined like the
that's why
used to do, right?
It's like a cake. It's really a cake, because their fame is layered. It really is. That's the best way to describe it. And it's funny because he's running for president under the birthday party. I think he might understand this the way we are now understanding this, me and you. Because Kanye is so self-aware that the things that we are uncovering that are true, because under the full spectrum of who he is, this is proven to be fact, that he is this kind of person. He is so transparent. He puts himself out there like an avatar, kind of like how Drake does to a certain extent.
Well, why not?
Well, it allows anybody to do whatever they want with your life. And that's what can create you as a mockery.
Oh, so you have too much of there's too much transparency.
You have no power over who you are.
No private life.
So you have to be a good person for real.
Like Pac said, right?
That's right. Because if not, they will do whatever they want with you.
All eyes on me. That's it.
Facts. When the eyes are on you, you have to be exactly who you are, or else they'll do whatever the fuck they want with you. And that's what people don't understand, is that when you get in the game, you can't shuck and jive, because they put a price on your head the minute you stop doing whatever they want.
Right. You just don't get out.
There is no way out. You know too much. You know too many secrets about too many people who are too powerful.
Is that the most prominent conclusion of the assassination on Kennedy? Is the mafia? Is that because they weren't happy with him?
They're the fall guys. The mafia's the fall. They might have been like the hired guns, or had some sort of play in acquiring illegal, anything.
Is there a prominent one, or are they still battling it out?
They said that Harvey Lee Oswald was involved and that he had an accomplice or something. There's some weird shit. There's so many conspiracy theories. Honestly, the reason why you don't know is because it was an inside job entirely by the government. Like, it totally was.
Right, so they're not gonna. They have control over
That's right.
information. They're not gonna just release it.
And if you think about it, he was so controversial. He was like a Barack Obama of his day. Imagine if Barack said, "I'm not gonna do what these motherfuckers want. I'm gonna live for my black people." They would have gotten the fuck up out of there.
But by now, shouldn't that be public information by now?
What, the JFK shit?
Yeah.
Well, they won't really fully. If it's super corrupt, they won't
Yeah,
really
but it's not
fully.
even the same people in office, right? They're long gone. Those people.
But it's almost like releasing pedophilia information that goes deep into the, like, once it stains an industry.
Oh, maybe it might, like, if it might.
You would lose all distrust. You would have no trust.
Well, I don't think people do anyway. Honestly.
No, but not to the extent where they could say fuck everything.
Well,
some people,
there's
right?
riots right now.
Very true, but that just means a larger percentage of people are becoming that way. But at the same time, the people who pay the bills and go to work every fucking day and still join in the system and pay taxes, we're the ones holding everything together.
You know, what I noticed is, most people just want to be back to normal, get back to what it was.
The way they used to bitch and complain about normal life, and now they want to run back to it. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But you know who the really are the people who are training themselves right now to save money and to be different than they were before the pandemic are the ones that are going to come out on top. Because the ones who don't have to do much, they're just already excellent. Fine, continue to be excellent. But the ones who are working on themselves, and they're like, all I need is a chance. I need things to slow down so I can really catch up with myself. Those motherfuckers want it more than the ones that already have it good. And they are going to come out like you never believe. As soon as this shit goes back to normal, because look at the Spanish fucking flu. That didn't last forever. This won't last forever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, once we come out of this, if you are not a super version of yourself, you wasted your fucking life. Because this is the only time in history this is ever going to happen. So
it's
you have
like
to.
Michael Jordan said at his speech, right? Leave it all out in the court.
Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan, every day was like a pandemic day to him. If we were going to continue to go on this metaphor. Because time was so slow that Michael could become perfect. And perfect in the sense that he was better than anybody who walked in front of him. That's perfection to me. If I don't meet another person in my life who can freestyle rap better than me, then I think I was the best that there ever was. Because you have to walk in front of me in order for me to say different.
It's funny because it's there's a variable that goes into any competition that you got to realize it's not just two people, or it's not just putting in time. It's putting in focus time, and then not just focus time, but you have to have another variable, which is the competition, and know about the competition, and know that there's someone else trying to outwork you. These are all, there's multiple variables that go into, like what made him so successful is like he was gonna win. You know,
he wasn't gonna lose. He understood the game so well. Whoever understood the game so well that they knew that there was no way they could lose. He was.
If there's any masters of the craft, everyone says it. Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson. There's some people that just reach. Kelly Slater in surfing. There's people that reach the top. That there's undeniable masters of it because there's all my best.
I want to roll something up right now, but dude, this idea is really, really good because I'm feeling where we're going with this, because Jay-Z reminds me of Michael Jordan. In a lot of ways. And what I mean that is, like, every year was like a basketball season for him. He'd have an album that would drop, and that would be his championship, like his bid for being the MVP of the year.
Right.
His album, his music videos, everything, it kind of fit into a pyramid, so to speak. His album being the pinnacle of the pyramid, and everything else being a solid foundation to have you propped up to have the album of the year.
Yeah.
So every year was competition, and Jay came out and was the best many years back to back.
The Black Album, when he dropped the Black Album.
Well, he had his run in the 90s, and then he had his run in the 2000s.
Yeah, it was like the rebirth.
He's like the Lakers, or like another team that had like a three-peat in one decade and then a three-peat in the next, but the same players were still around. That's Jay.
Well, some people just never, like Dr. Dre, as well. Some guys just can't lose, you can't keep them down. Actually, some of them never go away. Like, those guys never really...
You know who's not going to go away? Drake. I don't feel like he's going to go away, man. And the reason is because every year
he's Canadian, isn't he?
I
just heard that. I'm out of this world. I don't know.
No, he really is Canadian. But that's funny that you say that because it almost speaks to why he goes so hard. Because if you were the first Canadian to ever get this close to the American market like he has,
so you're already like an underdog in a way.
Yeah, you're super underdog, and not only that, you are actually better than a lot of the lazy motherfuckers in America.
He's built up that work.
He worked so hard. Like, he was an underground rapper like I was. Literally did the same things that I did. So I know how hard that is to try to climb out of a not a hood fucking pathway to like the game, but like a house party, suburban kind of like fucking pathway to the game.
Is it like was he successful in Canada prior to?
He was successful in Canada as being an actor because he was in Degrassi. Which was a Canada show.
He was an actor. That's cool.
Which was a Canada show, right? They sold the rights to fucking American companies later, but that's how it started. And his introduction to rap, as far as Canada and those years go, was him rapping on his show. He rapped on his Degrassi show. You know what was crazy about that? That's where
another unique group, right? Those guys that are the best in multiple.
Oh yeah, like Donald Glover. If you know from Community or what was Atlanta? Have you ever heard of Atlanta? The show? Yeah, Donald Glover is a rapper. He's a comedian, rapper. He does so many fucking things. A singer. He had a song called "This Is America." I don't know if you ever heard it. That shit was a banger. Yeah. Well, that song blew up because he made it about social commentary.
I was gonna show you these guys. You gotta play it in the background.
What was that? Oh, Dirty. Yo. Is that Rick Ross with him?
No.
Oh, I was about to say.
I don't know. It'll take up the audio, huh?
Go ahead. Let's see.
You need a solo. It's just off.
I know, right? I do need one.
See, I don't even want to do it injustice. See, I can't do them injustice.
That reminds me of old Master P. Holla, hooty hoo! That old Master P, man, that was the shit. But that's what the beat.
I heard it and I just couldn't fuck with it. It was like I think these speakers might even be shot.
That was my favorite thing about the old. I don't know if they're old school, but that kind of gave me an old school vibe in a sense.
South's got an energy to it, man. Yeah, they're old school.
Yeah. There's a group bringing a style of music right now, and they're calling it crunk. Like they're bringing it back and saying crunk is back. And I was like, well, shit.
That never left. To me,
crunk
that's
never
like
left.
bass. That's like bass. Like that's
crunk
are
never
you on
left.
drugs? No, I'm just crunk.
Is Lil Jon still alive?
That's what the whole thing was.
If Lil Jon's still alive, then crunk is still alive.
Yeah.
Like Lil Jon is the kingpin of crunk. The East Side Boys, ooh.
Yeah, that's just maintaining, man. That's just.
Tekashi 6ix9ine has stole fucking juice from Lil Jon. I don't give a fuck. Tekashi 6ix9ine has stolen Lil Jon's swag and senses. When he yells certain things in a certain cadence, it's like, okay, motherfucker, are you gonna say yeah? Like, because it reaches that sort of like similarity, like in cadence in a sense.
Well, they have they're able to somehow put. It's almost like they created their own dialect, you know,
the way that they and there's similarities in the vocal inflections.
Well, I guess they already have their southern accents, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they put something else on it, so you can almost brand it like oh yeah, that's from the South.
You know what it is? When Lil Jon started talking when he was screaming, it has a similarity to when Tekashi 6ix9ine raps when he screams. Because when Lil Jon started talking when he was screaming, you started to hear a little bit more of his voice. Instead of just, yeah, okay. You started, snap your fingers. You know, like, he started talking, he's stringing more words together. You're like, okay, I can hear Lil Jon's voice now.
I've never listened to him.
Dude, I bought like 3 or 4 of his albums because the energy's always been insane. Oh, of course, yes. But, you know, the people who will listen to this,
right?
They're gonna be like, oh, of course, you know, we can pull from that. You know, that's true. Crazy. But that's what the whole world is. It's like Outkast was kind of like Atlanta until Lil Jon came. Because it changed from Outkast to Lil Jon overnight.
Man, Outkast's way doper. I'm sorry.
How crazy is that? That speaks to the maturity level.
So much doper.
That speaks to the maturity level.
I just don't fuck with the other shit. It's not I'm saying for me.
No. A lot of people are gonna be on the same level, but that's how I feel too. I feel like Outkast is GOAT level. GOAT level. But
you know what? Just to qualify that statement is just respect to the people in niche groups, because I get it, because I seen some pretty dope niche groups.
But this is like an opinion that circulates 360. But I respect that, yes. But this is an opinion that circulates 360 in the sense that top tier rap from Atlanta or from the South in general is Outkast. They fit in that with the Ghetto Boys.
They were like
UGK.
They're so you know what it is? They're to me they're not even comparable. They're too different.
They're futuristic to me because even the way that Andre 3000 rapped, like the way that he chopped it up and like
didn't Eminem.
Oh, of course. Listen to M, dude. If you
as the best.
Multiple syllable rapping in general owes a big tilt to the hat to Andre.
Multiple syllable rapping.
Because whenever you have a word like when he said, "I hit it just and she hit me to some mind games to stimulate and activate the left and right brain," like the way he would rhyme his multiple syllables,
his rhythm, his cadence was on point. Like and that's crazy. A lot of it's like some rappers, it's almost like they're just they're gonna hit the one beat, but they're not gonna hit. He jumps in and out of 16th notes to 8th notes to or whatever.
He doesn't leave one stone unturned.
Right.
Literally, like Kendrick is influenced by the Andre 3000 the same way that Eminem is.
What do you think? What's the word on when they got together in what was it, maybe 2008 when they got together with the girl? What's that chick?
Who? Outkast and the girl. Which girl?
Some girl came along. She came out for a collaboration.
What song was that? Because let's see, there's.
What are the collaborations? Do you know?
There's a lot of. Well, Outkast has done a lot of collabs, but.
Jamie, pull that out.
I know, right? We need a Jamie.
That's probably cliche about now. How everyone because everyone has a podcast.
Mm-hmm. You know what's crazy is that Outkast's biggest songs that I can remember always had a male singing, like Sleepy Brown. Sleepy Brown, so fresh, so clean, so fresh and so clean.
Oh yeah, like Charlie Sheen would play the jingles.
Yeah. And then man, that song was great, man. And we are the coolest motherfuckers on the planet.
Man, some of the dopest shit. We can do this one. You can match it in your head. But one of the dopest ones that I wish was longer, so I just put it on repeat.
Ain't nobody. They used to play at the school dances, dog. If Outkast got off at my school dances, that's hard, man. They got that shit off. Back that ass up, Outkast, man. Yeah. Rosa Parks had motherfuckers do it we were getting it.
So this is. Oh shit. That's also dope. But let's see. So this is.
Do you see any papers over there on your side? Ooh, I heard.
This is a WWE walkout song.
That's.
I should just say beat.
Who did that one? Scotty Too Hotty? Was it Scotty Too Hotty?
White Knight instrumental.
But do you remember the wrestler? Wasn't it Scotty Too Hotty?
Yeah, it's the three of them. It was the gang. They had the three. One where is there?
Okay.
What were they? Scott. There was three of them though.
I was thinking about
Rakishi.
Ooh, he was hard.
Oh shit, Rakishi.
Hey, I was thinking about Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero and shit.
Oh yeah, they're all teamed up.
And Owen Hart. Well, just the fact that they died in the WWE, like Eddie Guerrero overdosed, Benoit killed himself and his family, and Owen Hart fell from the fucking top of the ceiling all the way to the fucking wrestling mat.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that? Do you remember when he died, Owen Hart?
No.
Oh man, I was a huge wrestling fan, man. Well, me and all my cousins were. Man, I was looking for my papers real quick.
Sometimes I trip, people that were around that checked out. There's a lot of musicians later, like from that 70s era.
Mm-hmm. Fashion so clean. Lost my papers, looking for them. I'll find out messages all over the place. With the statements that you make, cuz.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. If it comes down to it, I'm always gonna lean towards Outkast over. Who are you saying?
Outkast and Lil Jon. But you know what?
Yeah,
They
Lil
weren't
Jon.
supposed to be like compared to each other because it was just showing like the difference between the generations. Because
here's the contrast.
yes, because something that is classic and traditional will always be replaced by something that's the opposite of what it is. You know what I'm saying? Lil Jon was not traditional in any sense, but you had to respect what he was coming with because it was almost like rock and roll.
Well, there's trendsetters, right? Like first one's on the wave, and then other people catch it after because they see what's up. They join the scene.
I think
And the
whenever
scene
you
grows, and then it gets too big, and it becomes mainstream. Mainstream usually ruins something, and then it dies out, and something new comes along in its place.
also, when you're in the rap world and you play the rock star card, that's its own lane. That's a big lane too. It's easy to get on with that one because there's a lot of fans that listen to the hybrid of rock and rap, and they're not the most judgmental people in the world in a sense. And that's some insider shit right there, right, for me to say that, but it's true. Because I've observed that market for a long time. So when a rapper can't make it in the traditional hip hop sense, meaning that they spit with some fucking content, some bars, like it's a fucking art, when they can't do that, you know what they do? They fucking say, I'm making vibe music, I'm making fucking rock and roll music, I'm making rock star music. Like that's what they say. So that's why we're living in the era of those kind of rappers right now. Lil Uzi Vert, like they all do the fucking punk rock, like aesthetic from the hood.
Dude, I'm gonna be real honest here, and this might be sacrilegious in a way, but I'll rarely fuck with music that's new outside of like EDM and the whole house scene and all that is good. All those DJs, I love DJs. Shout out to DJs, right? But the festival, it's all good. But I don't know. Lately, it's just like all the new stuff. There's great stuff out there that I found, but I have to go through so much shit to get to it that I don't fuck with. I just stay in my lane, and I just.
You know what a big difference is? That kind of plays into what you're saying.
There's enough though in my lane. I got enough shit. I can't even look at all that.
Listen to this. Tell me if this resonates with your thought. Okay, back in the day when you used to make albums, you used to spend so much time on each song one by one. So when you made an album, you made sure that every song was perfect as far as you could do, right? But then
the timing. Perfect.
Yes, but then these modern guys realize that the more songs that you have on Spotify, go ahead and hit this. I loaded this. If you want to hit this,
it's Flower.
Yep.
Cool.
A lot of these new rappers, and the more songs you have, the more it streams faster. So the more songs you have to stream, the higher your plays go. Right. That's how this shit works.
Someone just that was on Joe Rogan's podcast, Hannah Buress.
I listened to that.
Yeah, he was saying something on that.
Something like that, right? Streaming. I forgot what he was saying because I kind of skipped forward because somebody put all the timestamps, and I was just like pushing the timestamps to go to certain segments of when they were talking about this and talking about that, right? So that I have to re-listen to it because Hannibal, you know what? He's low energy for me. He says a lot of good shit, but he's low energy.
He's kind of changed
He's
his
kind of
cadence,
like
I think he's animated himself more lately. I think he's caught on. He's got feedback, which means he's a worker. Obviously, he's a hustler.
But he's going through some spiritual shit too, because you remember
headed off to Africa, right?
Well, he went to Thailand. And he was doing Muay Thai out there for fucking so long, right?
You know what was funny? That I was laughing when I was loud because when I was listening to it, Joe Rogan was just dumbfounded by the idea. He was like, "What? You doing what?" And to me, it was just like, he's just single. Like he's free.
You know why?
He's not tied down to anything. Like,
you know what my opinion is on that? The reason why he acted like that is because Joe's kind of like supposed to be an expert in that fucking world and shit. So he's just like, whoa, like when something's really interesting to him, it's fucking really interesting to Joe. So the fact that a comedian was like Hannibal. If someone said Hannibal was doing Muay Thai in fucking Thailand, I'd be like, the fuck he was. I don't believe that shit because I only know him one way. But for Joe to see that, he's like, well, that's kind of my world, you know.
Well, you have to. See, here's the thing, though. Like that's a problem. Is a lot in this milieu right now. Everyone's losing nuance and
that's a big thing. Losing nuance is the reason why we're going through everything that we're going through from every stage.
Yeah.
Some good comes with it, some bad comes with it.
Or at least from what it seems like through the lens of media. But the media's on.
Ooh, I just had deja vu.
Deja vu.
That's a good thing. You know what my thing on deja vu is? I'm recalibrated onto the right path in life. Because there's so many different paths, so many different parallel universes in a sense. But when you're on the right path is when you have that deja vu moment. Because you're calibrated.
Was it the Hannibal Buress topic that I don't think we concluded. I think we
No, you know what I think it is?
Something.
I think it's the fact that...
Why did we bring it up? Why did we bring that up?
Not about that.
Because you were saying something before that. What was that? What were you saying before?
Well, the reason why I think the deja vu hit was because of what you said, but it's the fact that me and you are kicking it.
Uh-huh.
And we are in two different parallel universes until we... What?
You're missing the girls outside.
Oh, they're everywhere, dog. They're always walking around. This is the perfect apartments for that. Dead ass, literally. But listen to this thought real quick. The reason why is because we are on so different fucking parallel paths. But whenever we fucking cross parallel paths, it bears fruits. Always.
Yeah.
That's why when we talk together on a podcast, it bears fruits. When we rock together in a fucking jam session, it bears fruits. Dog, that's what that does.
Right now, I even feel like I'm honing my sword to bite my tongue more because I got a messy mouth, man. Like, it's like, shout out to Vince Osa, Blue Team Blue.
But you see, the people that you'll meet along on your pathway while you're making that transparent thing are going to be the people who appreciate you for being that way. And it's going to be a snowball effect, and it's going to be great for you. See, we don't understand this because we always put different thoughts in our heads how it's going to be. But in reality, whenever you show yourself in a transparent form out there, people recognize it and they are charmed by it. And so a lot of times they will put effort underneath you.
Well, because you're genuine, right? People.
When you're genuine, that's the only way.
Because if a genuine person is not going to try to scheme you, and people are worried about that because that exists in the world.
Mm-hmm. But also, when you're genuine, you release a vulnerability that almost has a childlike sensibility to it. So a lot of people can gravitate towards it if they are pure-hearted. For example, whenever I'm talking to people and I'm being the most genuine form of myself, usually females, because I was raised by my mom and I have nothing but sisters.
But you have to.
But I was kind of going somewhere with that.
Well, what you're saying, but like, what do you mean by that, though?
Well, what I mean is that I'm more vulnerable with women. You know, like a lot of men would be.
When you're open and honest with them, like what? When you say, what do you mean specifically? Like it's like certain subjects that you wouldn't be with other people?
No, not necessarily. But what I mean is like when I show the sides of me that I would consider weak. As an overall simplicity.
I was listening to Mike Tyson. He said, "I never let my women see me weak."
See, that's where me and Mike are different. And also, I've never had a domestic violence charge. That's big to say. You know what I'm saying? But that's where I come in different. But this is the thing, too, is that I've always been respected for being the nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that I treat every woman like they're my mom or my sister is really
Well, you
a
should
big
just
thing.
Respect people.
Well, I understand that, but at the same time, it's something specific to me in general, and that's what this is.
Oh, I feel you.
You feel me? Because, on a broad, like, dead level, what you're saying is definitely honest. But in my life, when it's particular to me, which I notice that I get further in life when I treat people in my life like they're a part of my family. So just when speaking about females in general, that's my mom or my sister. When it's speaking about men in general, that's either my pops or my bro. You would fall under my bro category because I don't really look at you like a father figure. But there's a couple niggas I know back in the hood that are father figures.
That's a good thing, by the way.
Of course, I'm older than you. You know,
and you're also a father, and I'm not.
Yes, definitely. That would make you a weird ass nigga. No, I'm just kidding. That would make me a weird nigga too.
That doesn't have a kid.
No, but you see where I'm going with it. You see what, and that's just me. But that's what the beauty of me and you are. Like, you are so different than me, and I'm so different than you. But at the same time, when we come together, our differences make us stronger.
Yeah, well, I mean, because again, lots of nuance, right? Because like I was saying, I got a messy mouth, but don't confuse the rhetoric of what I'm saying with the sentiment. Because I know I'm a good person. The problem is what I realize is unfortunately, most people seems like they want to assume the worst rather than assume the best, which is understandable because I've adapted. So I'm literally, working on that.
Do you mean when it comes to regards to you, they want to assume the worst?
Well, yeah, I mean, because I wouldn't, especially how I used to be way worse, to be honest, like misogynistic. And,
okay. When it comes to talking and speaking and
chauvinistic and just young and stupid,
Like you would bust jokes in front of girls that would probably hurt them.
Well, calling them like for example, like referring to a girl as a bitch, right? Like the sentiment is not that she's literally bitchy.
It's not endearing when
she's
you say
obviously
it.
not a female dog. Like there's synonyms here, right? Like I'm saying, like this, if it you have to put it in context with the rest because the statement and the sentiment is affectionate, and everyone knows that you have an established relationship with that person, where the whole idea is that you can say something like that because you're cool with them. Now, it wouldn't be cool with a stranger, and that's the nuance that I think is lost. It's like, no, you don't understand, like, this person that you're trying to defend, like, we bullshit with each other like this all the time.
Right.
Not everyone else doesn't know that, you know, so...
That's what it is. You know what, that's where the people like that kind of have a disadvantage when you think about it in the large scheme of things, because we all want to make money in capitalism, right? So when we put ourselves out there in a public...
Well, we all want to survive, right?
That too, yes.
Well,
but
to
add, right? But like in this sense, okay, when we're thinking about it, everybody, your eye, once you're public, the eye is on you, no matter what, right? So once you're public, the eye is on you.
That's what what's the band Hopes Up High, Head Down Low.
There you go. Yeah. I forgot who that was, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, the same idea, that same sentiment.
Well, it's especially nowadays, it's like even celebrities are saying, even though they're able to survive because they've adapted through mostly like going to podcasts or whatever, but they've adapted and they already established themselves. But I don't know.
You know what I think is cool is that the ones that went into podcasting were
it's not good anymore though, because like you were saying, the spotlight, there's too many eyes on you, and it's not. It's like you gotta ask, like, is it worth it? You know, like some people, they want the attention. Some other people don't. They just happen to have it.
You know what's a good metaphor for this is a magnifying glass. The eye is a magnifying glass. So you once the light is on you, you will burn and wither away if you aren't of some substance. If you aren't of some solid foundation, you will melt away under the light of the eye, because it will be your brain really double doubting yourself. And you will cancel yourself out before anybody can cancel you. It's like when you have like a fucking heavy object and you're lifting it and you know you can't drop it. You know you can't. That's not a fucking option. Right?
Or you're going to smash your shit or break your back.
But then with a minute you said, well, you know what, maybe I can... You fucking break your legs. You know what I'm saying? But like that thought is what kills people. It literally kills people. It takes them off the world. But if you never give yourself that thought, then you're invincible in a sense. Because you'll die in your fucking sleep. No.
What do you mean you're invincible?
Well, if you are able to never give your weak... Like when you're in those weak moments where your life really depends on it in some sort of way, and you don't ever fucking let the feet sweep underneath you, and you stay firmly planted, then you're invincible, or you're immortal in a sense, because when you do die, you won't know it.
Well, you'll know it.
Well,
it's gonna hurt too, that situation.
Well, if you were to fall under the okay, check this out. Well,
no, man.
No. Okay, maybe I didn't explain it the right way. What I'm saying is like...
You mean figuratively?
Figuratively, yes. If you don't allow yourself to ever give up, right? Okay, figuratively.
Oh, you never lose if you don't quit.
You never lose if you don't quit. But when we bring it to physicality, it makes sense too. Because there's been times where I've lifted heavy things and it could have been broken toes, broken feet, like refrigerators I used to help move with companies.
It gave you that
stuff.
extra.
And I forget, I have to add that sort of context in order for the shit to make sense. Because otherwise it sounds like Kanye West talking. But what I really wanted to put the emphasis on is like a motivation.
It's good for all the people, that little niche group out there on shrooms right now or whatever.
Yeah, they would be absorbing it on that level, definitely.
Yeah, they're with you. There's people with you right now.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. That's an awesome point. But yes, you have to add the background music to what you're saying in order for it to all kind of encapsulate into an idea. That's what it is. But back to what we were saying about what? Oh, not giving up. Okay, this is almost like a motivational thing you'd see on YouTube, and it'd have great epic music behind it.
I think it's natural.
I understand what that is, right? Like, oh, that's a big thing, right? But this is what I believe about that. It's like you literally just you control your life to the point of like you will make the decision that will end your life if you choose to. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. And you will also make the decision that overcomes those decisions and then brings a stronger, better you every time you do it. This is like a stairway to a higher level. And you can only get to it if any moment of weakness you choose to rise above instead of walking right into your...
And I use an analog to amplify your idea here?
Yes.
UFC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys that make it to the top and they get the belt, like George St. Pierre is a great example of someone who kept adapting to the new guys coming up. He didn't get stuck in his ways. There's other guys like, I don't want to call anyone out, but some guys don't adapt, and they're kind of stuck in their move, or they're stuck in their movements.
Yeah, I do want to say, if a fighter ever does hear this shit, you gotta be careful when you say it. You might as well get an MMA
Well,
fighter.
no, you gotta. Well, yeah, no. Oh, I'm not worried about that.
I'm just because
that's not how. I mean, I say strap, man. I don't fuck around with that.
No, you end up killing him.
I'm not a kid anymore, man.
MMA fighter in the mall.
Yeah, I'm not trying to fuck with hands.
No, I feel you, but like one thing that gets 1,000 plays could get 1,000,000 plays the next day.
Because there's chivalry's dead, bro. Like it's not like that's me being cynical. It's just like, who's gonna be like, all right, bro, I heard your fighter's gonna come. You're talking shit. All right, 10 paces, then we'll turn around or we're gonna square up in an octagon. Yeah. Like, first of all, a fighter, you got to give respect to fighters just for being willing to step in the cage, even at the very amateur, even their first fight. That takes balls.
It's like a rodeo.
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for like fighters. They're
MMA
giving their life to that.
Is this fair?
You got to be all in.
Is this fair? MMA fighters like UFC and rodeo are in the same kind of category.
I don't think so, man. I think fighting is very special. I think fighting is very unique because it's the most primitive. It's the most visceral form of fighting. Like to echo what Joe Rogan was just saying when they were talking about MMA is most fighters. He was saying most fighters, something to the effect that they have a life battle that gets them into fighting. It's what makes them so tough, right? So it's the most primitive mode of expression I think that we have is physically fighting one-on-one like a lion.
Do you think it's a language? Fighting's a language?
It's
a way of communicating?
It's a lot of things. It's art. It's survival, first and foremost.
Is it like religion? Fighting like religion? Is it like psychology? Like these big universes? It kind of is its own universe. Like you could, if someone says, "What's your religion?" you say fighting. Could that be an answer?
Well, I'd have to quote.
It's like Ball's life.
No, I think it's. Can't remember the book, but the idea is if you understand the way broadly you see it in all things, and I think you're gonna be able to find, if you distill it far enough, parallels in all pursuits, whether it be archery, because everything's got, and it's all relative to the person doing it. Some people are more inclined to intellectual pursuits. Some people just based on their makeup.
Do you think everything? Because what you just said, I caught something of it. Do you think everything falls into the same parallels, or do you think that certain things fall into sets, and then those sets have parallels?
You're gonna have to define things in sets.
Well, because what I first took from what you say is that if you boil everything in existence down, it goes to one
literally
parallel,
everything,
right? Which would make sense if you disregard a lot of things.
Well, it is everything, because everything is affecting.
But here's my thought about the sets.
It's like we were saying earlier. It's a chemical. It's like one chemical dance.
Well, one thing makes me think about the sets, and what it is sports.
But mostly dark matter.
Sports is what makes me think about the sets. Because if you think about it, how come some sports are the same fucking sport except different?
Oh, you know what? I just did. To go back. That's interesting because you saying that. To go back to the other question you asked about the fighting pursuit. I will have to say, even though I still think that about fighting, that it's the most, like, at least like the oldest, right? It's
one of the oldest, like prostitution.
Yeah, as far as like the modern forms of competition, or expression.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. Obviously, there's warfare and everything, but that's kind of different if you're just looking at civil pursuits. But yeah, I don't know. The football players, they were just talking about you kind of recognize that that's actually physically those guys are so big and they're just repeatedly colliding into each other. So just the physics of it is more impactful than I would say most fights go. Like a fighter's career versus say a football player's career. I think football is way more intense and devastating and has maybe higher. But you can't say that though because fighters like Michael Bisping lost his eye.
Well, hold on.
Anderson, you break legs.
Can you speak to maybe the frequency of contact in football as opposed to MMA fighting? Because if you think about it, in a football league, in a scheduled season, the frequency of impact is almost guaranteed. They could probably do it to a statistical level because of how similar the seasons are in like format, right? The only difference would be if you switch players out, because people are going to do the same thing in repetition and patterns unless they develop different pathways in order to express themselves in whatever they're living.
I don't, to be honest, I'm very ignorant to the game. I don't understand. The only really thing I watch that could be considered a sport is MMA.
Dude, I really understand it on a fundamental level. But I also understand people and development on a fundamental level.
Well, like how much freedom they would have within the rule set, because I know they got a lot of rules. Like MMA is just like, all right, no, don't gouge each other in the eye, and on purpose, and no groin shots. You know, there's the knee down, or
you know why I think football is unique? It's because it could be argued that they are, you know, the impact of getting hit so many times by other motherfuckers in pads and helmets is equivalent to car crashes. And if you think about it, if you're affecting a human psyche within padding and helmets, and that's supposed to be their protective gear, and they're still being affected like that on a constant level and basis, that's not being spoken to.
Well, didn't they say that it's making it worse, right? Like because they're able. Well, yeah, that actually goes back. I think it is actually that goes another thing on the scale to show that it might be worse than fighting, just because of the fact that like. Fighters are purposely trying to avoid taking damage. So whereas like football players are not only are they bigger in mass generally,
they're trained to take damage.
You gotta times that by 2 because there's 2 big motherfuckers.
But the mentality is to take damage. It's to take hits.
Right, they're like goats. They're like they ram each other, they tackle each other.
If you think about it, it's really like disposable like barriers. Like you are supposed to protect the quarterback.
And there's no one more powerful than the football players that tackle, right? Like those guys are pretty much.
They're supposed to be
as
the
far
most
as like
solid.
Athletics go. Aren't they pretty much like the pinnacle as far as?
Honestly, I think that the only requirements in order. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but at the same time, I think the only requirements in order for you to actually be a linebacker in those positions is that you meet a certain height restriction, you meet a certain weight restriction, because they are all consistently 6'3", 6'4", 250, 275 pounds in that range. It's always been that way. If you look at all the statistics, like even since the 80s, they are generally the same height.
Well, yeah, I guess you can't, but you can't even do what I was trying to do and generalize it, because every sport's so tailored, right? Because obviously the best strength is going to be the strength lifters, but then it's like, well, what are you using your strength for, right? It's like some guys build like a bicyclist wouldn't do well, and other, they're different things.
That's very true.
Comparable.
It's crazy to think about all the sports and the regulations and the things that they put their athletes into just so they can compete.
Yeah.
And just to make money for corporations.
Honestly, even fighting, even though I don't know, I still think it's kind of different. I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, I guess, now, but this is kind of making me think of it, look at it differently, because now I'm thinking, like, if you think about it, like, it's not as common as it used to be, just ever since the evolution of weapons took hold. And then chivalry died, and like these people don't get out in the dirt anymore. It's like everyone's armed and
crazy,
ready to kill. Yeah.
Well, it's cultural war right now, like in all senses. If you think about it, the only conflict that's going on is cultures clashing, and it's never been like this before prior to the internet gaining the power that it has now.
Yeah. The problem is the extremist sides are being amplified rather than. If you talk to most people in your circles, everyone's cool. Everyone's just trying to make things work the best they can. Everyone's doing their best,
Well, it's always the loudest voice that's the most obnoxious in real life, and these are the people who they'll do the less. The ones that are loudest online do as least as possible as they can. Like that's whether they're trolls, whether they're musicians, whether.
Well, we know that just through the transparency of their sheer number of posts.
Well, you see,
like how much time are you dedicating to just being on social media?
And I got a lot of friends who probably take a criticism to this, but everybody does it to a certain extent. Like you use the internet as a crutch because that's where everybody's at already.
I honestly don't feel I do. I feel like I've distilled it down to where I don't have social media.
No, you're good.
Every time I go on the internet,
I noticed that about you.
It's for research of something.
But that's to your advantage beyond belief.
But I wasn't always like that. I felt like I got all this shit because I did watch TV. I did watch all these movies. I was a movie buff. I was a gamer. I did all that shit.
It's not always true, but the more of an internet person you are, the less of a person you are in real life. It's not always true, but that seems to be the stereotype.
You're probably just not. It's like being right hand, left hand. You know, you're just not as adept as using that sort of skill.
That's an interesting.
It is a skill.
That's an interesting perception, because I like that. That's really smart, because what you're saying is the ones that do adapt to the internet, they use it almost as like an extension of themselves. Like what you're more or less saying is one, if you're the side of your brain can really activate with the internet. There's left brain, there's right brain. You know, these are two different types of people.
I honestly think it's simpler. I think I'll bring it back to Jordan, you know, to MJ.
Mm-hmm.
Would say an interview asked him once, you know, it's like once you've established yourself.
Did you already hit this?
Yeah. Oh no, if I did, I'll pass. I'll get an extra.
You good? Okay.
No, I'll just.
Oh, I got another bowl right here. This one.
Yeah,
might be
I'll hit the next bowl.
Okay,
I just don't remember if I took it. I got you. Doubles here.
I got you.
Steal your. People are gonna be followed out like, hey, how come it stayed over here for 10 minutes and then it only hit once on this side?
You know what's crazy? They can follow the podcast.
People like right left audio. They're like,
right.
Wait, it got closer.
No, like wait a minute, he was smoking right now.
Yeah, because we don't have individual mics.
They're like, wait a minute. Tory's been hitting the bong 10 times.
Yeah, you gotta qualify that too. Other people think you have a horrible sound guy. Because you gotta make it known. Yeah, this is just an iPhone recording.
Oh, this is the preseason, doggy. Because when we get the real equipment, we going live.
Oh yeah, you gotta get those. Dude, I've fucked with Shure mics.
Well, check this out, dude. Honestly, I know how the game goes. Like,
sorry. I'm so sorry. I caught the thing I'll finish. Michael Jordan said, the fucking interview asked him, once you establish yourself in that world, and people now have the expectation of you, all eyes on you, pressure on you, and you know, doesn't that make you nervous? Aren't you afraid of messing up because there's so much on the line now that you've created this persona, you know, this, and he says his response is like, no, practice eliminates fear.
Jordan said that?
Yeah. So you gotta, like, his confidence comes from his ability. He knows he's better. He literally is objectively better. That's what George St. Pierre's book, he says it's the best way to do it is be as objective as possible when sizing up an opponent. You have to be objective because that's going to give you the best results if you act on. Because if you are letting your ego take a hold and you're seeing like a way bigger guy, for example, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, and you get in a fight and your ego says, oh, no, I can wrestle him. I was a wrestler in college. I could wrestle this guy. I was a wrestler in high school. I wrestled him. Or maybe you're a wrestler right now. He's out of your weight class, but you're the best in class, you know. And so you're like, and I think I'm just tougher, so I'm gonna take this guy, you know. Rather than going, well, I've never wrestled a guy that big, but I know there's a hell of a lot of weight classes in wrestling, you know, and being smart about it. Maybe a better strategy would be to strike from the outside and not tie up with this guy at all because he's got way more weight than me, and if he grabs a hold of me and I don't know, you know, any jiu-jitsu or anything, you're out at a very big disadvantage. You better use your speed, better use angles, because if you're too slow in responding to one of his throws, it's going to do a hell of a lot more damage if he knows how to punch than one of yours. If you know, there's a lot going on there. There's not just physics, there's knowledge.
Oh yeah, because it's a chess game too, like a fight is. Because you got to predict the next move. If you are slacking on the move, you get hit, kind of. It's whoever's ahead is the winner kind of a situation when it comes down to physical combat of any kind. I know that's like a simplistic meltdown of what reality is, but that's kind of...
Well, I guess point being is to just be objective and react to any situation, because it's just analog. I'm just using the fighting as an analog to everything. You want to be objective about it and don't let your ego get in the way, because your ego will fuck you if you're not, you know. I'd say for, like, you know, primal situations.
Be analog.
Well, I mean, I guess just, I don't know, just if you got a decision to make, it doesn't help you to, you know, you got to be cool-headed about it to think clear. It doesn't help you to act off of emotion.
That's
or
true.
Impulse.
Whenever I was a kid and I did some shit that got me in trouble, I always had a chance to like think of the best outcome to present it to my parents. And about that, I kind of, if I gave it time, I figured out the right way to do it where I got the least amount of punishment. But if I didn't do that, I just jumped right into it. It was the worst punishment that I can get because I ran right into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of that type.
It's I feel like most young men are like that. That's why coming up, I always envied the cool cats in school. Mm-hmm. And somehow they were just so cool that no one fucked with them. But
not even their parents, huh?
No one fucked. They're just so cool.
Yeah.
They were just coasting through life. Everyone loved them. They were low key, very low output. It's like Bruce Lee said, just about as much as undoing as
they're sleepers, dog.
Yeah, but they're like Sada says, smooth operator, just efficient in their energy.
That's what they are. They're smooth operators.
Smooth operators.
That's the best way to sum them up.
Yeah, but I've always envied them because I always felt like they're doing it right because they're the most efficient with their energy.
But those are the chicks we fall for, though. Those are the smooth operator chicks. I always fall for those.
I fall for it. Dude, there's all kinds of.
Come on, they're smooth. There's a few zodiac signs. There's a few of them that are just sleepers, dog. Once they get you, they got you, kind of thing, and they play it and they work it. Those bitches are bad, and they're bad for me. So I ask them what the zodiac sign is so I can curve them if I need to. You know what I'm saying? Real shit, instantaneously. If a girl is like too reflecting of something I've been through, and I know how that shit ended, and it reminds me a little too much.
There's different types of women, right?
Sometimes it reminds the vibes. Hey, I know I'm not the type to fit everybody into a broad category, but I will say this: sometimes the hairstyles match up, the eyes match up.
Right.
They look much like.
It's not. It's not necessarily good. It's not, and I'm not even saying this for bad or worse. It's just different types of people and every.
Of course, right.
And then there's more variety within. Those circles,
true. Yes,
of course.
Because we're speaking to two audiences, I will say. Because you break it into a more like a broader term, so that people can get it on that level.
Okay, so I'm speaking like you were for the psychedelic group out there, right?
Yes.
So let's bring it home for it.
That's dope. How that works is in the counter opposite.
Right. Yeah. So now the stoners tune into me and bring it back home.
Stoner Mike, get that. Yeah, he's getting it. No, real
so example, right? Like I always love bad bitches hoodies, like. In high school, because that's what was there. That's
now we're talking.
They're the easiest pussy to get, right? And they're the best.
Bad bitches in hoodies.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with it. The big hoodies when they wear the long boots. Are you talking about those bitches?
No, no. Hoodies are just like nah. Hoodies are just hoodies like just they get around in certain neighborhoods. That's it.
Well, I've seen some bitches look bad in hoodies.
Don't worry about these girls. Like, they're not talking shit on anyone. They're proud. Like a bad bitch. Like
I'm trying to pull one of these bitches.
They take that. No, they take that kindly. Don't get me wrong. I'm not insulting anyone. They're fucking.
They're listening right now, so this is important.
They're proud, man.
No, real talk though.
They're the best. That's my point. Like, you cannot. I'm telling the truth here. Look, you cannot get. Call him a slut, all right? If you want to go for a bigger audience, then.
Oh damn!
If you don't want,
let's turn up. No,
if it's not politically.
No, I'm rocking with you. Keep going.
So sluts, right? Is that bad too?
No, let's do it.
Promiscuous women.
Let's rock.
Is that closer?
Let's rock.
All right. So these promiscuous women, we call it. That's pretty long. It's why I didn't fucking say it in the first place. We'll call them. What, PWs? This is how this shit happens.
Fuck
now
that.
We got PWs,
hold on.
acronyms.
Okay, hold on.
This is why...
Let me break it down like this. If you're cooking a steak, right?
Sentiment's more important.
Hold on.
Sentiment, people.
If you're cooking a steak and you use the same amount of seasonings because you figured out what works for you and you like it, okay? If someone says you can't get this and you can't get that and you can't do that anymore, so now you have like salt and pepper. It's not going to taste the same. It's not going to feel the same. So what you have to do is you kind of have to just cook it the way you want.
Now you're back on the hippie shit.
It's real shit though, because look at if I've created my albums where I was worried about what I'd say, then I would be in a little box and I couldn't really do anything.
Well, that's the thing about like artistic licensing. It's probably why a lot of people are attracted to artiste. I think is the actual performing artist, right? Specifically,
it's the funnest thing in the
world.
So
they're like that's just a sheer form of expression, and they're also on a platform. You know, they're trying to get a message out in a lot of ways too. Usually,
the expression is free, but the commerciality behind it.
Let's get to the digression though, right? So, promiscuous women.
Okay.
Right. This is all. This is
Let's
all
go.
I was getting at. Promiscuous women. They're gonna be better at sex than someone that doesn't have sex.
That's
like
fact.
Michael Jordan was saying, you're gonna get better at what you practice. This is just how this works, right? Like it's just how this works.
Oh shit! Okay.
That's okay. People gotta hear this because you gotta make a choice. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Okay.
Like if you don't want a girl or a guy, if you're a girl,
okay.
If you don't want someone that's been around with a lot of people. If you get someone they might not be as good at sex. It's not going to be a surprise.
Okay.
On the other hand, you can't make one of those. See, this is why I have to go back to my original term.
Okay.
You can't make a hoodie like a homestead. You know, that can't be your wife.
Okay.
Because she doesn't have those wife, and so she's different. She's going to be fun. But she's not gonna have, say, maybe the best skills to raise a child.
What makes a wifey in 5 steps, in 5 points?
I don't know. I'm not married. I don't want to get married.
When did you say somebody who could bear? I mean, on a man perspective, if you ever thought about it.
For a wife, I mean, that's your partner, man. That's
one.
That's your rider. You know, they're riding with
somebody
you.
who's with you through the path. Okay,
Everything.
That's 2.
Yeah, they're with you, man.
Could you break it down to 3 more steps? Because if you look at it like a 5.
It's simple. They die for you. They ride for you. You know, it's simple.
Do they connect on an intellectual level with you?
There's got to be a connection, yeah.
There you go. Okay, do they have a sense of humor that's similar to yours?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but is there humor involved in any kind of way?
Well, humor's involved in life, so of course.
Right, but is there a connection?
Dude, that's a funny thing. People, I don't think most people realize about humor is it's not always someone that has manufactured it or contrived it. It's humor's gonna come up in life whether you want it to or not. Humor arises, you know.
Yeah, but I think you dodged the question.
not intentionally. I just don't.
But I think this is what women. If women are shooting their shot, they're like, okay, I see where that motherfucker. That's the space right there where he goes like that.
Oh shit! Because I'm not even paying attention. All right, reel it back then.
No, but this is dope shit though, because the right girl is gonna be like, okay.
I forget what we're doing.
But check that. The right girl's gonna be like, I see that nigga. So watch. Well, I'm gonna catch him when he's slipping. Then plow. I'm gonna move in on his ass, and she's gonna look fine as fuck too. That's where the weakness happens. I know because this has happened.
But you gotta know what you want, right? That's
this
like
happened on me.
Guru says you got to be rich in life. You gotta know what you want.
That's true. Yes, and somebody will know what they want to the point of they're in your car and they're sitting with you and you're driving away.
There's vibes too. You know, pretty quick. That's like that, like love at first glance. I don't think that's any coincidence. I think people just between everything, there's more going on than we could see. But there's definitely vibes that people that pick up on before they even get within, 10 yards of each other.
That's facts. Like you could be at a show and there are girls, the hottest girl in the whole place will only like your friend.
Well, you'll notice you're zoning. That's a crazy thing. You can notice from across a concert or something that like eye contact between all these other people that are both looking at both of you and other people, and there's crowds and you're still making eye contact, So that goes to show.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to sound so bitter, but I think it's just ironic. Like,
I wonder if that's the same thing when someone's looking at you in the car. Maybe they're just looking back at you because you're staring at them. They're like, "Hey, who the fuck stared at me?"
Making some interesting points here.
Yeah, it's all countenance. You can tell what people are thinking by facial expressions, right? Mm-hmm. There's different cues, like we're saying, verbal, body language.
It's all the same, yeah. Like
personal communication.
It's like language.
I'm not trying to dodge anything though. What were you trying to?
I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, now it's gonna look like I dodge it.
No. Like when a girl observes you, okay, okay, because this is what I've been explained to by some girls that have watched me, because I make it real easy to watch me in different ways. You can watch my music videos. You can talk to me.
You're very palatable.
Yes. So, what they've told me is that they see where I just do so much out there. I put it so much out there that they can see where my vulnerabilities are when it comes to certain things. And they can almost catch where I start to resist or deflect in a sense and become disagreeable and like certain things.
Yeah. What I mean, okay, well, I don't know if it's relevant what qualifies,
I think that what it is like once you put a lot of things out there. Me, I understand it to a T.
You're just saying now you've to whatever extent for whatever reason you're just saying you're at a stage where in a relationship you've made yourself vulnerable by opening up, by just being an open book. Basically.
I think literally the only way that I can get what I want out of life is if I open up completely.
Otherwise, you don't feel genuine, huh?
Otherwise, I feel like if I'm holding back it's not gonna be real no matter what. Because I've gone through, like, I've been opening up like a book, right? And every relationship is a different chapter where I'm opening up to. But I've never been completely open. And I've already had a kid, and I've never been completely open. And I think the only way that I can get there is when I find the right person who understands certain things about me. And it's nothing too crazy, but it's just like I'm a big book. So there's a lot to understand.
There's lots of people. People are complicated.
Exactly. So I think that the right woman will take the time to understand these things. And that's what I'm heading towards, right? But I got a little girl to raise. So I'm finding the balance of navigating this single life. And this is what I feel good about the podcast, is you can open up to be personal and stuff like that.
And you get good feedback because you're reaching out to a
And it's
large
crazy,
audience.
too. It's crazy, too, because it feels better saying it than keeping it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
In a reality. Because it's nothing too special, but it's me. So I have to put it out there so I can get some therapeutic sense from it. So like right now, me talking.
It's like a therapy session.
It really is, and it's cool because it's free. Yeah. Therapy's usually expensive.
Well, this is like what you're saying, dude. May as well record because we have the same exact conversation.
Mm-hmm. But it's nuts, man. Like, it's crazy reaching a certain level. Look, we've been recording an hour and 10 minutes. How sad is that?
It's a lot of editing, Cody.
I know, right? We got a lot of things. I don't know, man. And this is just a preseason thing, so it's not going to be anything official, but I'm going to cut pieces out of it and probably use it. I don't know if you want to, like, say anything, like, promote anything, or maybe not just yet, or we're going to get to a point where
Well, nothing. We can't do anything right now because everything's shut down. So
that's very true.
I mean, we can't go. We can't do the music.
I do all the social media stuff, so I'm going to put all my, like, Twitter and all that shit on there.
Oh, I guess, yeah, you gotta go virtual, huh?
Yeah. So, like, if you do get usernames and shit like that, I can put that on like, the podcast.
Well, there's the West Coast Cats page, but we're not really active right now. It's just...
What's the West Coast Cats?
Did it for a few connections. West Coast Cats?
Mm-hmm.
It's a project.
Oh, no, that's the name.
You jammed it. Yeah, you jammed. It's a set list that you jammed out when you were...
Yes. I was thinking a business, like you had a business called West Coast Cats, like.
Oh, a business? No.
Yeah, because the way that you said it, I thought we were still talking about like that, business.
No, I was still trying to get back to the fucking question, because I don't want to look like I dodged a question.
Oh, about the chicks being like, oh, that's where Mike is like deflecting, like that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna edit the shit out of this. No.
Well, I don't remember the question. Is what I'm saying.
Well, no. I was.
What's
speaking,
the question that you said?
No. I was speaking to the fact that we expose ourselves to the point where if somebody cared enough to obsess about us, they could figure out what really made us tick. And
you like they'll get through it. You're saying.
Yeah. That's all I was speaking to. It wasn't anything deeper than that. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was trying to purchase. Because people who listen on a different degree, they'll take different things and they'll run. Like it's.
Oh, you know what I just figured out? I think I have. This might be something like a hypochondriac would say, but pretty sure I have. This is what we were talking about earlier. Psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In what sense?
There's a clinical definition. Like, there's a couple qualifiers, but I don't know.
Well, there's socio.
Impulsiveness is a big one. Yeah. Anger.
Dude.
But you know what I realized is from like all the cures and everything. It's like what you're talking about, the psychology. It's just like living improperly. It's just living like your life's off kilter in some way. You're living wrong, and you can fix it naturally. Like you can fix it just by finding out like what you're saying. What the problem is. A lot of problem single people get if you stay single too long. There's no one there to like help you with that. So there's a reason for the tradition of marriage and just the way people do things in general, even outside of the institutions. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good way to live. I think it's and then also you raise your offspring, you spread your genes, and more secure if you have a partner, helping you raise the kids.
What's crazy is that I totally understand what you're saying, And I think that it's the same thing for sociopaths. I think they just can't communicate. It's as similar, and it comes off different. But I think that a lot of people can have sociopathic tendencies in the same manner. That
There's levels to everything, right? Like, there's, like, people who are, like, there's levels of this. Like, there's levels of things where, like, they're totally different. Like, there's, there might even be another term that I can't recall, but, like, what is it when you're, you have, like, no emotion? Mm-hmm. There's those people.
Yeah, it does.
That's crazy to me. I don't, like, I can't even, because I feel like that's just like this,
but those are the your Unabombers and shit like that. Like those kind of niggas, like the ones that blow shit up.
Do you think so that's interesting, because you're saying, like, we make choices, right? So do you think that's someone just going down, like, that's maybe where the term going down a path comes from? Like, you decide, I'm going to go down this path, and then you increasingly go to where you're going, right, where you're headed, and whether if that's martyr in that case, then you're going to be more and more invested and less likely to walk down all the path you've already trotted.
I agree.
Turn tail.
I think that's exactly it. But also, I think there's a warped reality to it. Like, you're so...
A disassociation.
Yes. You're so isolated, and you're going down such a tunnel vision path that you doesn't... everything...
You've put something that you don't... That over some human life. You're saying, no, the afterlife's better than this. It's like, man, that's a bold statement, man.
Well, that's an aspect of it, too. Like, if religious fundamentalism comes into it. But, like it could be just like a Unabomber or somebody who's doing it for their own personal, like, radical...
Most of them are doing it in the name of... They're jihadists, right? They're holy war.
Well, I guess that's one demographic. But, like, I'm speaking to the whole, like... the idea is mass. It's massive. It's a massive idea. So if you were to put it under one lens, it's going to look one way. If you put it in the black community, it's gonna look another way. If you put it in any kind of community, it's gonna. A7, don't claw Mike. He was like this.
Siete.
But you know what I'm saying? Like that's what's interesting about nuance too. Like how you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Like it really shows you the whole spectrum of how things can become their full content, and how they can become like the commercialized sugar version of it, and everything in between. From one point to another. It's really interesting. But you see, corporations manipulate that idea. And that's how the light bulb conspiracy comes back around. Because they can create something, and then they can create it in the whole spectrum. And then they can commercialize different chunks of it. And that's what you get your top profitability from. Is whenever you can charge people the most, at the most frequent time period.
Have you ever seen Wolf on Wall Street? I think it is. The original one. Is that the right one? Charlie Sheen?
Oh no, that's
Or Wall Street. It's just Wall Street.
Something Wall Street.
I think it's just Wall Street. Straight up.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I might be wrong. But it's like him. His dad's in it too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Martin. Yeah.
And then there's a third guy.
Emilio. Was that his brother?
Another big actor. I'm bad with it, but.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know.
Just credit where credit's due is all that. There's a part where he's like, if you could break it down into threes as far as like the whole Occupy Wall Street goes, and it's like the 1%ers of 1% of wealth in the world. He breaks it down as like that's inheritance wealth. That's 1/3 of the pie. The second third of the pie is investors that make their money off of other people's money, or their capital anyway. Working capital, and then the rest, like the 99%. Make up the other third of the pie. Those are the workers.
It's like there's the people that have, the people who finesse the people who have, and then the people who just work. Yeah. Like it's a weird fucking...
Well, because we've seen it, that's the silver lining in all this COVID and the protests and all this is you can kind of see it washes away a lot, and you kind of get to see the government in action. You get to see people, things moving. You get, and people duke it out, and then some theory, some ideas and theories prevail, and more people get behind them, and it's just interesting to watch. The table's just out of reach for the jump.
No, I totally agree. It's just really interesting how it all comes to play, because it's all powerful and it all comes to play. Like it all meets at a certain point.
Well, it goes to show like power is a real thing, right? That's what we're talking about. Power, like power, is the fact
commodified,
right? Well, the crazy thing is like power.
You can buy power.
It's all relative to like what are you talking about? Like what do you like? We're talking. To be rich in life, what do you want? Like you're not gonna come across somebody unless you're like you're saying like intersecting with them. Like you guys have to have an intersection, like there's got to be a reason, you know, for you guys to be duking it out in the first place, or you know, like politicians, that they're too in the mess. Like there's people doing it better than that, because those guys aren't living good lives. They're arguing all the time. They have horrible lives.
A lot of them. They sacrifice a lot.
And the ones that are doing good have to deal with all the corrupt politicians, and everyone's blocked out by the two parties. It's crazy. And hopefully something good comes of this, and maybe we can, you know, take one of the vote or what are the trying to remember his name, Weinstein or Eric Weinstein.